Iceland. Iceland, Icelandic's a Nordic island country in the North Atlantic Ocean and in the Arctic Ocean. Iceland is warmed by the Gulf Stream and has a temperate climate, despite a high latitude just outside the Arctic Circle. The local parliament, the Althing, one of the oldest continuously operating legislative bodies in the world, oversaw the island as an autonomous commonwealth. Iceland relied heavily on agriculture and subsistence fishing up to the 20th century. Iceland became one of the richest and most developed countries in the world as a result of the industrialization of its fisheries and Marshall Plan assistance after World War II. According to the UN's Human Development Index for 2021, it was classified as the third most developed nation in the world, and it tops the Global Peace Index. The North Germanic language of Icelandic, which is connected to Faroese, is descended from Old West Norse. Traditional Icelandic food, Icelandic literature, and medieval sagas are all part of the nation's cultural legacy. According to the Icelandic sagas, the first Norseman to arrive in Iceland was a Norwegian named Nadod, or Nadador, who gave the island the name Snaland because it was snowing when he arrived in the 9th century. According to both Landnámabók and Islandingabók, monks known as the Papar lived in Iceland before Scandinavian settlers arrived, possibly members of a Hiberno-Scottish mission. In 1415, when the kingdoms of Norway, Denmark, and Sweden were combined to form the Kalmar Union, possession of Iceland was transferred from the Kingdom of Norway, 872-1397, to the Kalmar Union. Natural disasters, including volcanic eruptions and disease, contributed to a decreasing population. In 1814, following the Napoleonic Wars, Denmark-Norway was broken up into two separate kingdoms via the Treaty of Kiel, but Iceland remained a Danish dependency. Iceland joined Denmark in claiming neutrality during World War II. Icelanders cast ballots in a 4-day referendum that started on May 20 to decide whether to dissolve their personal union with Denmark, do away with the monarchy, and institute a republic. The main island is entirely south of the Arctic Circle, which passes through the small Icelandic island of Grimsey off the main island's northern coast. Although Greenland, a North American island, is closest to Iceland, 290 kilometers, 180 miles, Iceland is closer to continental Europe than to North America. Iceland is the second largest island in Europe after Great Britain and the 18th largest island in the entire planet. Iceland contains about 30 minor islands, including the lightly populated Grimsey and the Vestmannaeyjar archipelago. Geologically, Iceland is part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a ridge along which the oceanic crust spreads and forms a new oceanic crust. The island's interior, the highlands of Iceland, is a cold and uninhabitable combination of sand, mountains, and lava fields. The principal towns include Akureyri in northern Iceland, the capital city of Reykjavik, its surrounding towns of Kópavogur, Hafnarfjörður, and Garabær, as well as Reykjanesbær, where the international airport is situated. Iceland is home to a large number of geysers, including the well-known Strákur and Geyser, from whence the English term geyser was derived. The island is composed primarily of basalt, a low silica lava associated with effusive volcanism, as has occurred also in Hawaii. Surtsey, one of the youngest islands in the world, is part of Iceland. This time it was the Krímsvötn volcano, located under the thick ice of Europe's largest glacier, Vatnajökull. A great deal of volcanic activity was occurring in the Reykjanes Peninsula in 2020 and into 2021, after nearly 800 years of inactivity. The warm North Atlantic current guarantees that yearly temperatures are typically higher than in the majority of locations with similar latitudes worldwide. Despite its proximity to the Arctic, the island's coasts remain ice-free through the winter. The most common tree native to Iceland is the northern birch, Betula pubescens, which formerly formed forests over much of Iceland, along with aspens, Populus tremula, rowans, Sorba saucoparia, common junipers, Juniperus communis, and other smaller trees, mainly willows. When the island was first settled, it was extensively forested, with around 30% of the land covered in trees. The only native land mammal when humans arrived was the Arctic fox, which came to the island at the end of the Ice Age, walking over the frozen sea. The ocean waters around Iceland are home to a variety of fish species, and the fishing sector plays a significant role in Iceland's economy, making up about half of all exports. Iceland is a member of the European Economic Area, EEA, which allows the country access to the single market of the European Union, EU. Iceland has no standing army but has the Icelandic Coast Guard, which also maintains the Iceland Air Defense System, and an Iceland Crisis Response Unit to support peacekeeping missions and perform paramilitary functions. In 2007, Iceland was the 7th most productive country in the world per capita, $54,858, and the 5th most productive by GDP at purchasing power parity, $40,112. Until the 20th century, Iceland was a fairly poor country. It is now one of the most developed countries in the world. Despite having low tax rates, agricultural support is the greatest in the OECD, which might hinder structural reform. The primary road that circles Iceland and links all of its populated regions, known as Route 1 or the Ring Road, Icelandic, Jogur 1 or Hringvegur, was finished in 1974. The interior of the island is deserted. The University of Iceland, which has its main campus in the heart of Reykjavik, is the largest institution of higher learning. The population of the island is believed to have varied from 40,000 to 60,000 in the period ranging from initial settlement until the mid-19th century. The southwest corner of Iceland is by far the most densely populated region. It is also the location of the capital Reykjavik, the northernmost national capital in the world. In the 1870s, Icelanders first immigrated to the United States and Canada. Icelandic, a North Germanic language developed from Old Norse, is the official written and spoken language of Iceland.